Now we're going to talk about the Calla Lily seed pods. I've done several videos on this, and now we've gotten to the point of the seed pods. Now these two were left on the plant at our river cottage. We had a chance of it freezing, so I cut these off early. This is one we cut off before because it had already gotten soft. You can see how the cone is all like it's jelly in the little pods. They're real soft and tender to the touch. This one here we picked a little later, and it is softening up. Now normally these seeds are viable when they turn a brown, a yellow, tan. See what I'm talking about, the different colors? Right, these are the ones that I call variegated, but they have white speckled leaves, which are quite remarkable. Now these are a little bit on the hard side, and generally speaking, if they don't get soft, like this one, the seeds generally, might not be viable. They were on there a long time, and this one is starting to soften up, so I think all these will be viable, and that's probably 60, 70 seeds. Now these are the two that I just took off because it was getting ready to freeze, and they are harder than those two, but you can tell they're softening, so I think that all the seeds are going to work. Now this is the non-variegated Calla Lily, and you can see the difference in them. They were picked at different times. This one is really soft and mushy and about to fall apart. It's a little sticky inside, and after they dry out a while, and you can, if you leave this in a real dry, warm place, they'll just dry out totally. But these are all soft now, and don't worry about the molding. They will look ugly if you dry these out. They could have this all over them. That doesn't affect the seed. And this one's a little more firm, but I'm sure all these seeds will work. So anyway, each one of these little pods, if I could break one off, contains a seed. They're fairly decent size. And I put black plastic in the bottom of this tray. Now that has no more in it. You can get 2 to 5 seeds in a pod. Like, see that? There's 2 in that one. That has 1. If you had some real large pods, you might see more. Now these are a little more damp and wet. And there's another seed. So that's what you need to do. Now, since they've dried out a bit, it's not real sticky. There's a substance in them, in each one of these little pods, and it's just sort of sticky and messy when it's hadn't dried as much as this. I was trying to find one that had more than 2 seeds. 2 is a normal, I would say, but you can get 3 and sometimes 5. But all these are just doing 1s and 2s. But since there's, I don't know, 35 pods on this thing, you'll get a lot. Since it's dried out, it's popping out pretty good. Now these seeds are also protectively coated, and you need to rub that off. And then that one hit the floor, so I'll have to pick it up in a minute. But if you take these out, this one's going to have more than, see, this one's got 3 in it. The other one fell on a deal here. No, there it is. This one had 3 in it. And see this little filmy coating on it? That's a protective layer, and you need to get that off. You can generally rub it off. I think some people will put it in a strainer and blast it with water. If they're at this stage, they're dry. So rather than just take all these out for you, once you get these and you get them fairly clean, they need to dry out. And to test them when they have gotten dry, it's best to put things like this on cardboard. It will take some of the moisture out of the air and out of the seeds. But they need to air dry. Once they do, they get really hard. And every now and then, after you wait a week or 2 or more, you take a sharp knife, and if you can slice through them, they're not hard enough yet. Once they get really hard, then you store them until you want to plant them. So all I got to do now is get all these out of these pods. And hopefully I'll get some out of this soft pod and I'll have some of both kinds. So that's what I got to say about it today. Didn't want to get too long-winded, but that's what I got on calla seeds. And you can see them. They're not quite as big as a green pea. Thanks for watching. Well, I just finished doing one of the pods. It was about this size, and that's 50-some seeds right here. Some of them still have the little husk on them, but I'll clean them up. So that was out of that. So just think what you're going to get out of this variegated one. You can look at that. See that there's 3 right there in that pod. See, these are 3s. That could be a 4. You can see by the size of the pod. See a big pod like that, you know it's 4 in it. And you want to keep them separated if you have more than one kind. So I've got the bags like this, but I will put these in a cardboard container and mark what it is and put it on, just let it sit in a dry, warm place, and they'll be ready to plant come usually about 60 to maybe 70 days before your last frost in the spring. You want to plant these, and it takes a while for them to come up, and we'll talk about that later, but you can put them on a paper towel that's damp and put another paper towel over top of it that's damp and put it in a cool place. It doesn't need to be in the light, just it could be in a basement, and check them every few days and you'll see them start to change, and you know that they are viable. But we'll talk about that when it comes time to plant them.